Good afternoon, everybody. This is your host, Crystal, and this is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. And over Google, I have the fabulous and talented Anya Boz. Hello.
Hi, Crystal. How are you?
I'm good. It's an honor to get to talk with you today. It's absolutely fabulous that you're here. It just makes me really happy. You are the creator and the mastermind behind Room Guardians. You're also the creator behind the Persian cat meme.
Yes.
I was digging around on your website earlier today, and for those who aren't aware, the Persian cat meme kind of came up in 2006. Blew up a lot.
It's 2016.
2016. Yes, thank you. Took it back a little bit there for me.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of white, almost like monkey-looking humanoid cat thing, and it often does the expression of what? It looks
like confused, what the fuck, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like something that belongs on Star Wars.
yeah, kind of Ewok-y. Yeah.
Yes, to be honest. But then I stumbled more upon your work. I think it was like a little YouTube short, and somebody was talking about your Room Guardians, and I was absolutely captivated by it. Originally, I thought they were just like 3D drawings, but no, they're actual posable creatures. So let's kind of dive in a little bit, Anya, about kind of Room Guardians. You also do a lot of other art beyond that as well, but let's dive in.
All right, like you want to start where like the inspiration came from?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I've always loved doing art. Been an artist like since I can remember. Always wanted to be an artist. And when I think I was a senior in high school, me and my friend were going through an antique store, and we saw these little stuffed animal foxes that were sitting with their legs dangling off of a shelf. And they weren't realistic whatsoever. They were just like made out of cloth, and they had like fox hunting clothes on, like little vintage antique little stuffed animals. And I was like, oh, those are cute. I kind of like that pose with their legs hanging over. I wanted to get them, but then I was like, no, I could probably like make a better one myself. And that's kind of how I convinced myself not to buy things a lot of time, and then I would never make it. But I actually did make myself my own thing like that. So my first room guardian was a fox, and he still sits by my bed every morning. His name's Caiaphas, but he's like made out of just random bits of cardboard and foam and foil, and I had some super sculpty clay that I made into his face and hands and stuff. And then I had like an old fur coat from a thrift store that I used for the fur. And then so I just made myself one because I wanted just like a little creature to be sitting by my bed. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have the name Room Guardians coined or anything like that. And then my friend wanted one, and my partner at the time wanted one, and so I just kind of started making them for people. And then I found a method that was actually pretty quick, or like easier for me to replicate over and over again using chicken wire. Oh. And then I started selling on Etsy, and I would do like a mixture of pre-made ones and then like commission ones, and it just grew over time to become something that like I was getting so many Etsy commissions that I had to kind of cut off orders and move over to different sites because I couldn't have an inventory on there if I was just constantly getting orders that people were ordering. So I was on DeviantArt, and then I moved over to Instagram, and then since I've migrated to TikTok and stuff and other places. And I started making them just full-time, quit my day jobs in 2014, so it's almost been 10 years since I started. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really awesome to hear that it's been able to kind of take off for you and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about the kind of day job and then the artsy side of things. I know you kind of go in depth on your website about it, which I think is really cool. Most people don't. They just kind of like, here's my art. So I think that's really cool. I believe on your website it says you were working in a bakery and doing the Room Guardians kind of part-time, and then things started taking off, started kind of taking up more and more of your time. Was it a natural progression for you to kind of be like, okay, bakery, goodbye, I'm doing this, feet first, let's see what happens?
Actually it was a pretty, like, altogether, I know a lot of people have the struggle of, you know, you have your creative job and you have the job that's making you money, and you take the pay cut to do the creative job. But for me, it was actually the easier choice because it would actually be the one that was making me more money as well. So, because I was just getting so many orders, and I was like, oh, if like the 8 hours I'm spending at the bakery making like $10 an hour, I could be spending those hours making room guardians and making way more money than that. So it was actually a pretty, like, aside from the scary jump of like, can I do this? You know, it was the more like profitable option and the more like fun, passionate option for me too. And the bakery was not like something, it wasn't like I was decorating cakes or anything. I was working at like Nothing Bundt Cakes, which is a franchise of like little bundt cakes, and I wasn't even decorating then. I was working at another bakery for a little bit, and then I was just doing like administrative stuff, so nothing super fun. So it was a like pretty easy transition after that, and because I was making more money that way too. Yeah.
Fabulous. That's excellent to hear. And now beyond the room guardians, you also have illustrations. You also do murals as well. You had mentioned earlier that kind of being artsy and creative and drawing has kind of been with you throughout life. Did you go to school for art at all, or was it just kind of something that ebbed and flowed throughout your life?
I just went to high school, and I was planning on going to art school after high school, or going to college, and then my dad was pushing for me to go to an art school because he thought it would be good for me. But you know, like I was in Texas, there wasn't like a whole lot of art schools in Texas, and any of the other art schools that I wanted to go to, you'd have to pay out-of-state tuition, which was so much money. So I just kind of waited, like, I don't know what to do, so I'll just work for now and kind of see, like, maybe I'll decide on something. And then this ended up just working out for me, because my goal going to college was just that I wanted to do my art for a living. I didn't really know exactly what that looked like. I didn't know, like, you know, I liked so many different types of art. I liked sculpture, I liked drawing and painting and stuff like that. So this is kind of like this perfect blend of like my own art that like nobody teaches how to make art dolls in school, really. So it was kind of a perfect little niche for me that I found, and it worked out, you know.
Yeah. Amen. Amen, sister. You're doing what we all wish we could.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. Let's kind of dive into the other art that you do as well. You've got absolutely beautiful drawings that are kind of more on the darker, kind of edgier side of things. Some of them are kind of ferocious, some have no faces, but they're all kind of blended off of the room guardians. And reading up on your website too, you were just saying you like to combine kind of the animal features with maybe disproportionate features, kind of more humanoid hands and things like that. Was that kind of a slow progression for you to kind of create this niche, or was it something that you always kind of gravitated to, was kind of more that avant-garde, that expressionism?
I think this has always been something I'm interested in. Like, my high school art was a lot of like creatures, weird like human mixed with like animal, a lot of like fantasy and a little bit of horror. I've always been drawn to that, but I think honing it to be cohesive style is a newer thing, because I do, when I'm capable of doing a lot of different styles and, you know, playing with mediums. I love, you know, like my style in like oil painting is maybe a little different than my ink style, for instance. But I knew that I wanted to kind of make it's kind of a way of branding in a way. Okay, I know my room guardians are something that I know is selling and people like, and I like the aesthetic of it. How can I branch out and do other art forms in a way that will tie to the work that I've already done? So it is like kind of taking one form and transferring it into another to make it all a cohesive aesthetic, I guess. But it's also naturally, like, I like the style because it is what I really like to do as well. But it has developed over time into a more cohesive, like, looking thing.
Yeah, definitely. And then something else that I found kind of interesting on your website is you do tattoos kind of as well. Somebody can purchase the kind of the rights, so to speak, to use one of your art forms as a tattoo. Did that just kind of come about as somebody wrote to you and asked you that, or did you kind of want to jump into the kind of tattoo realm as well?
There was actually a point in high school that, or like right after high school, I was like considering being a tattoo artist. It was like, oh, this is like an art form I could do. That's like a trade, and you make money, and you know, and but I tried tattooing on some of my friends with somebody's tattoo gun, and I got lightheaded. I was about to faint. Yeah, like the like getting close, seeing blood, couldn't do it. So
oh, no.
not the best profession for me, actually. So yeah, like I think like any ink drawing, if you're doing black and white, can translate very well into tattoos. So it's not necessarily that I've been trying to make tattoo work. It's just a lot of people over the years are like, oh, can I use your design as a tattoo? Can you design this tattoo for me? Because I know you're an artist and you do this. So yeah, now that I have these like really like bold black and white designs, it's just kind of inevitable that a lot of people want tattoos of them. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just charge a tattoo fee on my website, and that'll just kind of take care of just people that want to get my work on their body, and I don't do tattoo commissions really. So
okay, yeah, fabulous. That's excellent. I wrote to you about a couple that I saw as well, and you know, your work is just so detailed and so astounding. It's absolutely amazing to see. And then your room guardians are just so in depth. Let's talk let's talk a little bit about kind of the build and stuff like that. You had mentioned back in high school you had built your own fox room guardian before room guardians became a thing.
Yeah.
And now you use chicken wire and stuff like that. Do you still go on the hunt and thrift stores to find fur or beads or things like that for your room guardians? How does that look for you now?
Yeah, I am constantly like, my art brain is always constantly looking out for materials and stuff I could potentially use in a new project. And I definitely do still find some fur at thrift stores. I used to use real fur for my room guardians, but now I strictly use faux fur. And if I do use any real fur, it would be from like a thrifted coat or something like that. But faux fur is a lot easier to work with, and it's easier to sew, even though the texture is never going to be quite as lovely as like the real fur. But yeah, like I will get like, if there's some, like recently I found a furry pillow at a thrift store that I bought just to use the fur on it, because you get that fur for way cheaper than you could buy it. But most of the fur I do just order online and stuff like that. But yeah, as far as like all the other materials, I do mainly use chicken wire for the base, and then you'd think it'd be like kind of flimsy and unstable, but in order to kind of fill in all the holes, I use aluminum foil. And again, sounds like you're just wrapping foil, it's going to be like crushable, but I wrap it in like very densely around to where it's like you can squeeze it with all your might and it will not crush. So it's just like very dense metal foil on chicken wire, and then a lot of the posable parts like the neck and the tail, there'll be this like plastic ball and socket armature that I use. I just buy those online, and they are like they bend like a snake, and they'll stay in whatever position you put them in. And then like the arms and stuff, since they bend at a 90-degree angle, and the ball and socket doesn't bend quite at a 90-degree, I'll use a copper wire, and yeah, and then like the faces are sculpted or cast in resin from an original sculpt. Yeah, and then I paint them and use the faux fur and sew it all on there. Yeah.
Very cool, and very in-depth as well. I mean, you know, when people think about art, they think about the end result. They don't think about what goes into creating the art. So that's really cool that you're able to use all these things at your disposal, and you found something, or a formula that works and is awesome. Anya, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
And fabulous to hear. That's absolutely awesome. Now, you were talking earlier about when you first launched your Etsy store, there was a lot of commission work and things like that. Can people still get commission work from you if they want a certain look for their room guardian, but they want maybe the fur a different color? Do you still do that, or is it just strictly, here's what I got?
No, I don't do commissions anymore, actually. Yeah, I used to do it regularly, and then I would do it like twice a year, then once a year. And I think it was like pandemic years, like the last year, like I stopped doing commissions and I haven't done them since. I always thought when I started making room guardians, the longer I was doing it, the quicker I would be able to make them. But it's turned out to be kind of the opposite because I'm putting a lot more effort and like time and detail into all of the intricate parts and sewing. Like when I started making them, I was just gluing them together, but now I'm sewing everything, and everything has a lot of like little like intricate technical like building to it, so they take me a lot longer to make and they're more exhausting to make. Commissions, since I can just sell the ones I make anyway, that from my own imagination, it's just kind of I just want to sell the ones I want to make for the most part. Occasionally I'll do like a commission or for a special case, but for the most part, I just like to do what I want. And the commissions were nice for like pushing me to do things that I normally wouldn't do.
Right.
But at this point, I really just like, I want to just explore the things that I want to do, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I have the luxury of not doing commissions at this point, so I'm not doing commissions, you know?
Touche.
Yeah.
Let's dive into kind of room guardians. Now, you know, like I said, and up on your website, they're more avant-garde, they're a little they're different. I'll put it that way, to be light about it. They kind of remind me a little bit of almost like some type of Japanese dragon, or the Japanese kind of nine-tail, which I think is really cool. Now, how did the room guardian, how did that phrase come about? I mean, why room guardian? Why not like Japanese, you know, blah, da, 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 da.
Well, first of all, I mean, yeah, like there are some definitely Japanese inspirations, but I would say for the most part, most of them are just like inspiration from all around. But yeah, like the room guardian term, it was the first festival I had a booth at, and I was selling like a couple room guardians there, and I was like, oh, I kind of need a name for them. And I didn't really know, like, posable art dolls is a very vast art form now, and that's what technically they are. But I didn't know about that at the time. There wasn't a whole lot out there. And of course the internet, like we had DeviantArt and there's like a little bit on there, but I hadn't even posted any room guardians on DeviantArt yet, so I didn't even know. So I didn't even know what to call them. So I just was like, you know, what's a good term for them? Where they're like sitting, watching over the room, and they each have like a crystal heart. And I did like, you know, I wrote a little like message in their heart, like, I will protect this place from evil, or something like that. So I was like, they're like little protectors. So okay, room guardian seems to fit. So I just chose that term, and since that's just kind of now. That's the work I create, is these room guardians, yeah.
That's fabulous. And actually, I've never heard of posable doll art. You know, I mean, you've seen it around. It's, you know, people take dolls and create them. There's a couple of sisters, I believe, in Norway or something like that, and they create, you know, kind of these extravagant posable dolls.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I've never really heard of that, really, until now. That's kind of cool. I mean, was that kind of a new kind of niche that you were looking into? Was that kind of a discovery for you? Or, you know, the posable doll world, I guess?
Yeah, it was definitely a discovery, because when I made the first room guardian, it was never really intended to be posable. It was more of like, I would maybe describe it more as like, I wanted it to be sort of like fantasy taxidermy. Like, yeah, faux taxidermy. And then it was just kind of over time, they just got more and more posable. And I was like, oh, I like this to be a part of them, that they can move around and stuff. They're not as sculptural, they're more posable. And it was when I started posting on DeviantArt, I was like, you have to choose the category for your art. And I was like, what is this? Is it like sculpture? Is it? And they do have like a doll section and like art dolls. And art dolls it's such a broad range. Like an art doll could be like a beautiful ball jointed doll human, but it also could be like a beast, like a horror beast that has bendable joints and stuff. So I do kind of want, I wish there were more terms for all the niches within it, but I think
Yeah.
it has just expanded a lot since it started, that there aren't those terms yet. So it's just posable art dolls, original one of a kind art dolls, kind of generally art dolls is the term for all of this stuff. And it was a discovery for me because I had no idea this world existed before I started posting online.
Yeah, and I know more now.
Yeah.
Very cool. You know, you learn something new every day. So,
You do, you sure do.
so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And now, Anya, I was reading on your website, and you're out in.
I'm in Brooklyn.
Did you move out there just to try something new, or did you move out there to kind of expand your art?
Yeah, I think since I was in my hometown, since I didn't go to college, I just lived in my hometown for a long time in Texas. And I had been wanting to move outside of Texas, and being that I worked from home, there wasn't a whole lot like external factors pushing me to move anywhere, even though I wanted to. And then one of my friends moved to New York and was looking for a third roommate. And I was like, this is like the perfect opportunity to just kind of, it didn't have to be New York. I wasn't like specifically looking for New York, but it was like the thing that opened up, and I want to live with my friend. And I also was like, maybe there's going to be some newer opportunities in New York because there's so much going on there. I just didn't know, and I wanted to have new experiences because I never really got the college experience. So it was kind of like this big move for me. And unfortunately, I moved here January 2020, so right before the lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one month of like normal New York, and then the lockdown hit, and so this is kind of all I've known of New York for the most part, but I'm enjoying it even still.
Yeah. So you're fairly new to New York then. That's really cool. What kind of, has there been any kind of shock factors for you? Like, the people that I know from New York always talk about the cost of things and everything's so busy and constantly moving. And what kind of has your experience been?
I think one of the more shocking things is how adaptable I am, or people are, because I came from Texas, like living in a place with a big yard and lots of space, and to move to New York where there was like, I was confined to a room, and like, yeah, everything's so much more expensive. It honestly wasn't as hard of a transition as I thought it was going to be, which I know that's not the same for everybody, but I think it was just like a fun change for me. And yeah, things are expensive, but honestly, like my hometown now is getting way expensive. Like all these prices are raising and stuff. So I don't feel the weight of that super bad. I think what is really interesting about living here is that, yeah, there is always something going on. And of course, I think I do sometimes need a break from the go of New York. I want to be out in nature or doing something. It's such it's a big city, but everything, since I've moved here, it does almost feel like all these I've kind of idolized it, and all these like famous people or something, like, oh, they're in New York and New York's doing everything. It's like, oh, everything feels like kind of small now that I'm here, like where it's like, oh, like now that I know like some people that work for like Disney or something, I know what goes on behind the background, and it doesn't like feel as scary and big and inaccessible as it used to. Everything feels more like, oh, these are all just people, I don't know. It just, it's an interesting change in my brain about like just thinking about New York and like success and what it means and stuff like that.
Right. But you can say that you're a successful artist living in New York.
Yeah, I can say that now. Even though it's like I just moved my business from one state to the other. But hey.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a successful artist in Texas and New York.
Yes.
There you go. So Anya, where are you hoping to take Room Guardians? Do you have a kind of newer design in the works that you can talk about, or is it still kind of secret?
No secrets really. So my next big thing is I am going to be launching my tarot card deck at some point. I've designed a whole deck, and I've been working. I started in 2018, so it's been a long time coming. And so I'm looking to get that printed and do a Kickstarter. So that's going to be one big thing. And then another project I'm working on is doing like an RPG game with my room guardians and stuff as like species and races that you can play. And I'm working with a couple other people to like make a world and a map. And so that's going to be another thing. And it's kind of tied in with the tarot cards in some ways, just like I'm trying to make it all cohesive and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing I have working, like big project in the future right now, is the tarot cards and then the RPG.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Very cool. So when you're talking about RPG, just in case some people don't quite get it, it's kind of more Dungeons and Dragons a little bit. Are you kind of roping in a little bit of that world into it, or are you trying to hope a clean slate on everything?
It is a whole new world. Like, it wouldn't be based in any of those fantasy worlds. But I mean, a lot of the mechanics are similar to D&D or Pathfinder. So it's trying to like kind of take whatever platform you like to use for your role playing and put it in a different skin with this world, you know?
Yeah, very cool. Are you going to do a Kickstarter for that one as well?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Well, I'm really excited. And you do actually have some of your tarot card prints out on your website. People can kind of check them out there. When I looked at it this morning, I was just like, ooh, I have to buy in, because I like the whole tarot card deck and everything like that. That's absolutely fabulous. Are you going to do them in black and white or color, or what are your thoughts?
I like black and white. I love the black and white ink aesthetic. I think it's lovely, and that's what I'm going for. So, yeah. Black and white.
All right. Excellent, excellent. If somebody wants to get in touch with you about purchasing a room guardian or seeing where your Kickstarters are going, how can they do that?
Any of my social medias, it's Anya Boz, ANYABOZ, and then my website, AnyaBozArtist.com, and then I have my email on all those places. Like, email is probably the best way to actually get my response, because it's hard to keep track of DMs and stuff. But just if you look up Anya Boz on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and then my website, AnyaBozArtist.com. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Anya, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me in the wider world about room guardians, your murals, your art, and everything in between. Best of luck on the Kickstarters. Let me know when they happen so I can definitely fund them, because now I'm really excited, because your art's absolutely fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And
Thank you, Crystal.
Yes. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.